I am Ray, and if this... Sorry, I have to restart. Just woke up. I am Ray, and if you've ever been betrayed, this video is for you. Today, we're setting you free forever. Because when you get betrayed, it's so easy to stay stuck in the past forever. Like you have this little piece of yourself that has been lost in the past, and it keeps you tethered to all of that misery you experienced. Think about it practically. This moment of betrayal, whether it was from someone you know or whether it wasn't, somebody did something to you that was unfair. But think about it. The moment passed. It happened once. And then it was gone forever. But what do? We keep that one moment alive in our imagination forever. And you can stay stuck in the past, reliving the same moment over and over again. We re-traumatize ourselves and betray ourselves worse than any other person could do. Somebody else hurt you once, you hurt yourself every day. And the trick of it is that one must realize there's nothing to do with other people. But when we feel betrayed, it's like, your fault, your fault, your fault. You did this to me. Now, if you're betrayed by someone close to you, the problem is, well, you had an idea, an image of who that person was. So for instance, you're talking to the person and you have all of the memory of your past experiences with that person and who you believe they are. And that exists as a little image in your mind, which helps you respond appropriately to that person. And your mind says, okay, I know the person, even though there's billions and billions of pieces of information that you're not aware of. So the objective truth of who that person is nothing like your subjective understanding of them. Because you're making an assumption with these small pieces of data. Even if you experience 20 years with that person, over those 20 years, you're only receiving the information that that person expresses. Not the billions of thoughts that they have and their opinions that they don't share with anybody. One thing that somebody believes or somebody thinks or how somebody is could absolutely change how you view them forever. So the whole point of this is we don't know who people are. We think we know, but we don't. That's why they say never meet your heroes. Because you have this big fantastical image of them, and then you meet them and then they don't rise up to those expectations. Because people are not fantasies. People are not ideas. So what happens is that you have an idea about who someone is, that idea is false, and then finally, one day, the truth is revealed. That person was always that way. You just didn't realize it. And then when the light of truth was revealed, you were betrayed by your own image of that person. You thought they were one way, and they were not. So you were betrayed by yourself. Your own idea, your own assumption. Now let's say you were betrayed by someone who wasn't close to you. It was just some bad thing that happened. Well, it's time to get spiritual. Spiritual things, they solve all problems. You see, we all exist on this spectrum, from separation to unity. On the end of this side is like someone living in the ghetto. They're always thinking about them and other. Me, you. I need this. I need to survive. I'm going to take what I want from you. Or, you're a threat. You might kill me because I'm a gangster. So I'm always worried, looking at people. It's always me and other. And the more you're on this side, the more you're like enlightened, like Jesus. We all won. Everyone's love. Love everybody. Even when Jesus was on the cross, he said, forgive them. Not, oh, screw these people. These people suck. What are they do? Why are they doing this? Over here is God. Over here is human. Or animals. I'm going to do animals. Do you like my language? I wrote the A and the M at the same time. No, I wrote the A and the N, and that created an M. Enmu. Wow. It literally doesn't say anything. Now, I want to make it clear that you don't have to believe me. Don't just believe whatever I say. You probably won't be able to anyway. But the fact is, betrayal happens on this side of the equation because it's you betrayed me. And the more you're on this side of the equation, the more betrayal is impossible. Doesn't matter. So we want to kind of just start inching ourselves this way. So the idea is that life is manifesting through these separate forms, like me, like you, like this duck, like this bee, like everything. The trees, the birds, the fish. It's all life. It's all one life. That's all it is. And we identify with the separate forms, but it's all one. So, well, what happens is that the divine intelligence that underlies everything, which has access to infinite possibilities, works through the individual forms to create specific experiences for that individual that are required for their highest spiritual growth. And guess what? It's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be all sunshine and rainbows. It's going to be miserable and hell sometimes. Life is going to put you in terrible situations that you can't imagine why this is happening to me. And why does it do this? It's because suffering is the greatest spiritual nutrient. You will not do anything, you will not grow, you will not evolve without suffering. The reason we need to walk this way is because you need to develop the awareness of the utility of your suffering, the purpose behind it, the meaning, why you went through that. And you won't understand it so long as you're on this side of the equation, because you're too focused on, I'm hurt, I'm a victim, I was wronged, I need retribution. And so long as you're in that kind of psychological drama, you won't have clarity to see the truth. And the truth is really hard. Most people can handle the truth. But the question is, do you want to be free? Do you want to experience relief from the past? Do you want to just move on with your life and enjoy it? And enjoy new experiences and not have the past ruin your life? Like, do you really want to be defined by some moment that happened in the past? Like, that's you, really? Wow. So your whole identity is being wronged? And it's really tough when you see people stuck in this, because they've created such an attachment to the past, to this one situation that changed everything. They build an identity around being a victim, how bad that other person betrayed me. And of course that's going to sabotage your life, because you can't be living in the present moment when you're living in the past. And you can't have a future unless you start living in the present moment. But you can't start living in the present moment because you're attached to the past. You see, separation is ignorance, funny enough. Because, well, when we awaken in the morning, immediately we perceive everything as separate. So we believe that's the facts. That's the truth of reality. Like, I don't look at this coffee mug and say, yeah, that's me. Look at me. And yet everything in my experience, everything in this room, you even, and everything in your room, it's all the same one stuff. It's just life. Everything is life. So there is no separation. This chair is life. I am life. The whiteboard is life. It's just manifesting in a particular form. And one thing that helps is, oh, well, that person never betrayed you. It was God the whole time. And you're probably going to have a word with God because of this. Hello, God. Why did you do this to me? I'm angry. I'm upset. I'm going to have a word with you. That's okay. Literally take all of your anger out on God. Be sad toward God. Be hateful and resentful if you need to. But just point your mind toward God, because God will set you free. In spiritual terms, there was never anyone else to betray you, even though that's how we experience life. And from a more true perspective, there is only that one divine intelligence evolving itself through different forms. So why did this thing happen to me or you? Well, first you enter into the assumption that if it happened, it must have happened for my highest spiritual growth. And we have to really step out of ourselves for this, because we're so involved in the idea of me and other, you and somebody else. But if we can kind of just detach from that reality for a moment and look at it from a united lens, what you will see is that God, as the divine intelligence, orchestrated these experiences in your life because they were exactly what you needed at that moment, which would lead to a chain of events eventually evolving you spiritually. Because without suffering, there's no motivation, there's no desire, there's no emphasis to grow and evolve. If you were just happy all the time, you would be miserable. Funny enough. And yet it is often because we've been so miserable that eventually we become happy. We're looking at the betrayal as wrong, as bad, as it should not have happened, and that is the mistake. Because we're living in ignorance. We don't understand the nature of reality. We're not seeing life clearly. We're just feeling. I feel betrayed. I feel hurt. And so that's the truth. You did this thing to me. Now, you also have to contend with, well, how validated do you want to be? Because there's a part of you, and there's a part of everyone, that wants to stay stuck, that wants to be a victim, that doesn't want to move on, that doesn't want to heal, that wants to resonate in this low, negative energy. It just wants to be validated. Yes, I am right. Ah, yes. Just agree with me. Just agree with me. And you'll see that too when people try to talk to you about their problems. Most of the time, it's just like, do you accept me? Is what I'm saying? Do you agree with what I'm saying? And very few people actually try to get to the root of the problem. They don't want to actually deal with it. They don't actually want to move on. They just want to vent and feel validated because of this bad thing that happened. So, you got to make that choice. You can literally stay stuck in the past if you want. You can stay stuck on ruminating about what happened to you. You can stay stuck talking to other people about what happened to you. And just feel nice and validated, but you never move forward, you never evolve, you never grow. Or you can use that pain as motivation to live your best life. Simple. There are mindsets in this life that work, and there are mindsets that don't. Like this game of life, it's got some rules, or it has ways that you can play it good and ways that you can play it bad. And the bad ways is continuously re-traumatizing yourself by keeping that image of the past alive. By replaying those experiences over and over again. Because your body doesn't know the difference between what is real in your imagination and what is real in the world. So every time you replay that situation, you're feeling it again. It's going to keep you miserable. You will not be able to experience and understand why something happened until you get out of the mindset of being so focused on how bad and how terrible this thing happened to you. You won't understand why this happened until you get out of the me show of focusing on yourself. Me, 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 me. That's called pride. Why? Because you have a idea of yourself and somebody else treated you in a way that wasn't aligned with how you would treat yourself or your own self-image. So it's like, how dare you do this to me? But the problem is, all of this, it poisons your mind. For no other reason than because you're visualizing negative images in your mind. And therefore, you are feeling in response to those images. And those feelings will influence you to act in certain ways. And now you understand why people go to prison. You acted on a temporary emotional state. You ruminated for too long, and you became possessed by a force more powerful than you. And guess what? It kind of feels good sometimes to be angry. The hatred feels powerful because it's fire. But it only leads to death and destruction. Now, once you understand what I'm about to show you, it's going to make it a little easier to get through these times. And I learned this, well, through battling with addictions. But it's universal. So here's the thing. If you have been betrayed, there will be an emotional charge. And until that emotional charge has been discharged, you'll always be stuck in the past. But good news is, that's all it is. You just allow the emotional charge to dissipate and then you become free. Because what happens is that anytime you have a strong emotion about something, your body stores that memory, and that is what it is to be stuck in the past. Literally, that memory of the past is stuck in you, and you are stuck in the past. So in order to be free from the past, you have to get out. You have to get that little alien thing in. You gotta get it out. Get it out. But guess what? You can't be doing that if you're thinking about it all the time. The more you ruminate, the more you reinforce this emotional charge. Going backwards, keeping that memory alive in you, fueling that anger, fueling that hatred, that resentment, or even just that sadness, wallowing in suffering. Psychologically, you're going to want to work through this experience. This means working through the past in a productive way, because there are ways of dealing with the past that are not productive, like ruminating on it over and over again all day, talking about it all the time. And there is a way to approach that where you're desperately earnest to find the truth. And you're honest with yourself and you say, you know what? Nothing else matters. I just want to break free. I just want to know the truth. I just want to free myself from this situation. You have had to suffer enough to finally say, okay, I'm done with this. Before, you wouldn't let go of the past. But now the past won't let go of you. Now you're in good standing. Because if you don't let go of the past, it's your fault. But if the past doesn't let go of you, well, now the work begins. Until you have that desire to break free, you're not. You're just going to suffer. But once you make that decision, okay, let's do this. Now life has gotten on board with you and will guide you every step of the way. Even your unconscious, your body, the intelligence of your body, it wants to help you. Its whole purpose is to keep you alive and survival. And so it's always trying to guide you and lead you to the right things. But we have to slow down and pay attention. We have to start opening up a dialogue. Not only with life, but our own selves, our own body, our own unconscious. For example, let's say you journal and you get clear on what is keeping you stuck, what is bothering you. You clearly lay that out. For example, it might be, I still feel strongly about the person who betrayed me, which means there's a strong emotional attachment to that person. And you become their slave. And so you come to the decision, well, I don't want to be their slave anymore. How do I break free from this emotional attachment? And then maybe you ask yourself, where did I go wrong? What could I have done differently? And what can I do moving forward so that thing never happens again? Because here's the thing. Life is a mirror. Everything and everyone are reflections of each other. There is effect and there is cause. The effect is the experience. The cause is something else that caused that experience. And what causes that experience is imbalance. Why is this? If we experience trauma, which all of us do, and conditioning, there will be imbalance. This is like the human game. Everyone experiences it. Everyone is imbalanced at one point or another. And so life will put pressure on you in order for you to rebalance yourself, to seek and discover the parts of yourself that are not complete, that have been traumatized, that need to be addressed. Think about a car. Every little functioning thing has to be perfect or else the car doesn't work. So, for example, maybe you grew up and you never knew how to create strong boundaries. And because you couldn't create boundaries, you got yourself into a situation in which you were betrayed. You allowed someone who didn't deserve you to enter into your space and abuse you. Not because it's your fault, but because you just didn't know what to do at that time. Because your psyche up to that point, well, it wasn't fully evolved yet. In this imaginary example, there wasn't a boundary when there should have been. And therefore, once you realize that, you can see, oh, wait a minute. The reason this happened is because I didn't have boundaries. And if I start having boundaries, it will not happen again. Because that was the problem. Life pressured you into realizing that there was an error. And by remedying the error, the problem goes away. Imbalance is the opposite of harmony. And the opposite of harmony is problems. So the problems we experience in this life are because an absence of harmony, an absence of balance. And life will reflect those imbalances. And until we address them, we keep repeating the same patterns over and over again. because life is just reflecting back to us our own selves. I like to look at life as very mathematical. 1 + 1 = 2. If you stand under the big rock, it's going to crush you. Doesn't matter if you're a good person, doesn't matter if you're an evil person, the rock is going to crush you regardless. Meaning, certain causes lead to certain effects. If you're experiencing a negative effect, a negative consequence in your life, there was an underlying cause that led to that. So you address the underlying cause, and the consequence or the effect that is unfavorable goes away. Like for instance with money. If somebody's broke, that's the effect of their life. Scarcity and lack. Well then why does that happen? Why are some people rich? Why are some people poor? Is it just fate? Is it just economics, capitalism? That's separation mentality. Victim mentality. If the government screwed you over, what are you going to do about it? Nothing. You will do nothing. If somebody else screwed you over, what are you going to do about it? You will do nothing. There's nothing you can do about it. The only thing you can do is not allow your psyche to get polluted by outside forces, and instead realize that the cause is in you. That you are the cause of your reality, not the effect. Meaning reality isn't happening to you, it's happening from you. And you can change your reality by changing what is within. Life is never against you. It's never trying to hurt you. It's never trying to beat you down. It's trying to help you return to psychic wholeness, return to balance, return to God. And sometimes that's ugly because we have so much trauma, so much conditioning blocking and messing up our own minds, blocking clarity, preventing us from growing and evolving. Imagine like a dog who's really misbehaved. What do you got to do to that dog? You got to train him and put him in a cage. The dog's got to go through suffering. But because you are the owner and you have higher wisdom, you know it's for the dog's best interest, even though the dog is freaking out. I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want this. Because if the dog doesn't get trained, it's going to spend its life misbehaving and ruining things. Might even bite someone's face. Or just think about it like a normal child. You have to discipline and train the child to be likable by other people, to fit in with society. Because if you don't, they're going to be too weird. It's going to create massive problems. So too, God puts us through these difficult situations to shape us the way we need to be shapen. And I've realized that many times I would have not changed if it weren't for suffering. I can't say, well, I like the suffering more. Give me more suffering. But I see its utility. I see its necessity. Because without it, you wouldn't do anything. You'd just be sitting around all day eating hot dogs or watermelon. But there would be no growth. There would be no evolution. The reason these bad things happen is because it sparks a journey. It forces you into this reflection of yourself, of life, of other people. It stops you in your tracks and forces you to think. Now you might have a little bit of trouble when I say the cause is in you. Because if you go through something really bad, we almost feel like, oh, well, it's my fault that this happened. And it's not. Just because the cause came from you doesn't mean it's your fault. It's like a child falls down and gets hurt. They don't know any better. They're just living. So give yourself a break. It's not your fault. But if you want to break free and evolve and move on and be free from all that garbage, you got to take responsibility. That is like the first step. Because I've seen people who don't take responsibility and they stay stuck forever. Decades. Ruined your whole life. So you take responsibility, not that it was your fault, but that you have the power to do something about it. And you can't do anything about it if you're blaming other people. Because you're giving your power outside to forces that are not in your control. You only have control over two things in this life. Your own thoughts and your own actions. That's all. So if your next move doesn't have something to do with that, you're wasting your time. If you're not either changing the way you think or changing the way you act, anything that you do is a waste of time. Because you can spiral in your mind forever about how it's their fault or how the problem is not you. There are an infinite amount of problems in this life everywhere. Doesn't serve you at all to think about it. You want to enter a journey of self-discovery, reflecting upon yourself, looking at your life, and just bringing awareness to the situation. That heals and solves pretty much everything. Because guess what? When we're living in ignorance, we're always making mistakes, we're always creating problems for ourselves, attracting the wrong things. And what is ignorance? Ignorance is darkness. So you got to come to the light. You need awareness to solve that imbalance. And that is what reflecting allows you to do. It allows you to become more aware of where is life demanding that you change. And guess what? Life is going to be really nice to you. It's going to be really kind and really generous in ways we probably don't deserve. Because the moment you enter on this journey and you start really asking yourself these deep questions, life is going to bring down its hand and grab you up and help you. But if you don't, you can wallow in your suffering, and life is like, what can I do? You have the free will to ruin your life. I can't do anything about it. You have to reach out. You have to have an honest intention to want to live a better life. But if you're so busy just beating yourself up or beating the dead horse of the past, life can't help you. Because you're too busy resonating in negative energy. You're too busy feeling bad. You're too busy thinking negatively. And you cut yourself off from the light, from joy, peace, abundance. But once you let life know that you're earnest and that you actually genuinely want to live better, most of the war has already been won. Now, I mentioned emotional memory. And I think there's a few ways we can go about this. One is you make the decision to move on. You're done with it. And you just kind of let it go. You stop caring about it. You stop worrying about it. You stop thinking about it. Now that comes at a moment when you are ready. It's like any addiction. Until you experience enough suffering, you're not going to let it go. And we are often addicted to the past. Number 2, and these can work together somehow, you might have to work through it because it just won't leave you alone. So that means reflecting upon what happened, not in a negative way of how bad it was or how bad the other person was. You have to come from a place of love, of loving yourself, being kind and compassionate, and not necessarily even forgiving the other person, but forgiving yourself. Because rarely are we ever angry at another. Secretly, we're resentful toward ourselves because of something or somewhere we went wrong, and then we project that resentment onto another person. Like, they betrayed me, and I hate them. But the real problem was, I know I didn't have the boundaries I needed to have. So secretly, I hate myself. That's what's happening underneath the surface, sometimes. So you deal with yourself. You love yourself first, and you forgive yourself. Because it wasn't your fault. In fact, you can validate yourself. Like, yes, you didn't deserve this. And it's not your fault. And yeah, they were a bad person, perhaps. But that doesn't change the fact that you are here now. Now what? This is a process of kind of consciously working through what happened. Coming to some realizations, some revelations, and using that information to help you moving forward. And you'll experience some relief, like, okay, I have a bit of understanding. I have a bit of awareness of why this happened and what to do moving forward. It's literally that situation, that experience is stuck in your body, which is why you can't stop obsessing about it. Your system, your body is telling you there's something you need to know about what happened that you're not currently aware of. And until you figure it out, it's not going to leave you alone. Pieces of information that are required for you to return to psychological wholeness. Now, where this all originates is our relationship to the two primordial energies, the masculine and the feminine. And this is determined by your relationship with your parents. Most people will be imbalanced toward one of these two things, and that will create problems in your life. You'll know whether you're attached to one of these two things. If you're too masculine or if you're too feminine. Doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. In the realm of betrayal, for those who are too masculine, Betrayal will happen because you're too rigid in your thinking. You're too stuck in your ways. You're too certain on your assumptions. And if you're too feminine, betrayal comes from a lack of boundaries, of not being able to say no, of not being able to clearly define what you want, to not be able to clearly define what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. But guess what? Those who master both and who are balanced will not get betrayed. Why is this? Well, here's how I would approach it. And maybe I'm still a little imbalanced. But if someone betrayed me, it would not change the love that I have for that person. Because I don't hold resentments. I don't think about the past. I'm not attached to the past. And I'm also not attached to any idea of who anyone is. Like, I don't care. Like, I know that I cannot know you fully. So I don't have any assumptions when I talk to you. I won't really have any thoughts about you unless it's like, oh, well, I either like you or I don't. Like, everybody's my friend by default. But then I kind of reflect and see, oh, do I want to be around this person? Do I not? And so the point is that even if someone betrayed me, I would just be like, okay, that's your problem. It's not my problem. Move on. Forget about it. Because I can allow myself to be vulnerable and to be open, and I can also have boundaries. And if you step over those boundaries, I'll just cut you off. And it's not a big deal. But if you're attached to either one of these things, that betrayal is going to hurt really bad. And what do you do if it's a family member that betrayed you? That you've put your trust in their whole life? Well, first of all, you kind of got to categorize them. Are they just an evil person, or did they just make a mistake? And the key really is you just have to forgive yourself. Don't even think about trying to forgive somebody else. The masculine way to break free from betrayal, or to ensure that it doesn't happen, or that at least you ensure that it doesn't ruin your life. If you're too attached to the masculine, the name of the game is be more non-attached. Be neutral. Be stoic. Set boundaries. Have clarity of what you will and will not tolerate. And the moment someone steps over that boundary, because how are you going to get betrayed if you stop it in its tracks before it ever even begins? When somebody crosses your boundaries, that's a little betrayal. And, well, if you allow that little betrayal to go on without saying anything, you're betraying yourself. And then you can't, with all honesty, blame that other person for what they did. Because you allowed them to do it through not having boundaries, not having clarity. And also, you want to let go of your assumptions and expectations of who people are. Because everyone's got secrets. Everyone's got skeletons in their closet. And you might really love somebody. But that black swan piece of information that changes everything was going to make you think and feel differently about that person. So it's better to not have any expectations. Assume that, they're a human being like the rest of us. And just meet the person where they're at. And whatever they do is their problem. If they betray you, that's their problem. That's their karma that they're going to have to deal with. Not you. But if you choose to be resentful and angry, well, then you take on their karma. 50% of the burden is on them and 50% is on you because you allowed them in. But if you don't react and you don't allow that toxicity in, well, then 100% of the burden is on them and 0% is on you. You want to learn how to be open and vulnerable and emotional and deeply in touch with the situation or your experience with other people. You don't want to close your heart off because you've been betrayed once. The feminine is gentle like a flower, and it needs the masculine to protect it. So you can't just allow anyone to enter into your space and abuse you. You can't allow people's toxic minds to touch your soul. And the moment you start seeking with earnest intentions, life will come to your aid and say, hey, this is probably where you need to work on. Pay attention. This is what you need to do. Try more of this, less of that. Like, it's literally just wanting to give you all the answers to your problems. But you just have to slow down, calm, relax, so that you can listen, hear the voice. And it's always one of two things. You're either too masculine or you're too feminine. I like to say we're all instruments of God, and our life is the song. And whether or not our song is in harmony is determined by whether or not we are in tune. Are your strings too tight or are they too loose? And instantly you'll know. You won't even have to think about it. You'll know. Trust me. It's obvious. And maybe if you don't know, well, you're probably balanced. But still, we tend to fall toward one side or the other. Like, for instance, me. I'm a very chaotic person. I thrive in the chaos. And it's harder for me to be orderly. So I always assume that simply by integrating more orderly things into my life, I'll return to balance. Now, I want you to understand exactly what to do moving forward. Because once you understand the underlying philosophy, I don't know if that's the right word, the underlying reasoning, it makes it easy to understand what to do. So, we all got energy, and our mind is a tool that directs energy. And energy is the force of power, creation, life. So the more you focus your mind on something, the more life you give it. For example, the more you focus on the past of what happened to you, the more you're going to feel bad about it, the more you're going to feed those thoughts your energy. And they're going to get stronger, more powerful. You give them life, they take on a life of their own, they possess you, they ruin your life. You are in the grip of those thoughts. You're not having the thoughts. You're a slave to the thoughts. Because those thoughts are using your own energy against you. You lose your energy because you're giving your life force away to this imaginary scenario in your mind. And because you're giving your power away, you have less power, your thoughts have more power over you. That is possession. Same thing with like addiction. You just fed the addiction long enough to where you lack energy, your addiction has more energy than you because it's stolen your energy. And because you're powerless, it possesses you and does what it wants with you. So all you got to do is take your energy away. Stop feeding your negative thoughts. Stop ruminating on the past. And once you stop feeding these thoughts, they begin to die on their own because they can't survive without your energy. It's like a parasite. It's what I call the monster mind. The monster mind feeds off your negative emotions. So it plants a seed in your brain that says, think about this. Isn't this upsetting? Don't you hate this? And then you choose to buy that thought or not. So the monster mind knows exactly the juiciest thought that you will eat right up. It's like an evil fisherman. It knows the right bait for you. Because it doesn't exist in the physical world. It exists as a psychic entity. And this monster mind knows all of your trauma. It knows your conditioning. It knows everything about you. And you know nothing about it. So what it does, it pokes at that wound, puts its finger in it, and triggers you into a downward spiral, or just to ruminate, just to think, just so you can feel bad and feed it your energy. But at the end of the day, the monster mind has no power over you. Your thoughts have no power.